Hi there, Rowlett. Here we are back in my kitchen for a cup of coffee and some conversation. It's April, and you know what that means. Most of us are deep in the heart of taxes. That's federal income tax, but that's not the only tax that we pay. Several people have asked me recently, why is Rowlett's tax rate so high? Why is our homestead or our over 65 property tax exemption so low? So let's talk a little bit about property taxes. Many of you have probably heard in the news recently about the unanimous passage of Texas Senate Bill 4, which increases the general homestead exemption from $100,000 to $140,000 or $150,000 for seniors, those who are over 65. Some folks don't understand that this applies only to school district taxes. Has nothing to do with your city taxes. Other taxing entities, cities, counties, hospital districts, can offer their own optional homestead exemptions, but they're not required to do so, and some actually don't. Cities can set the percentage amount as their governing body sees fit, but the local optional homestead value, if you do decide to offer one, cannot be less than $5,000. All of this brings us back to the original question. Are Rowlett's homestead exemptions, in fact, significantly lower than those of other DFW suburbs? In this video, I'm going to answer that question, and I'm going to discuss how property taxes work, a little bit of that, and won't get too technical. And most of all, my stance on increasing the exemptions for our residents and lowering the actual tax rate. First of all, here's the executive summary. As mayor, I will advocate again for an increase in the homestead exemptions that we offer to our residents to try to help reduce some of the city's portion of the property tax burden. Of course, your property taxes, your total tax bill is made up of city, county, hospital district, college district, sometimes other special districts. Rowlett currently offers a 1% general homestead exemption. My opponent wants to raise it to 2% or $5,000. He's to be commended for wanting to increase the exemption, but I don't think that's enough. The city of Garland just raised theirs from 10% to 11%. I believe Rowlett's residents deserve to get more than just 2%. What I would like for the new council to consider after the election is finding a way to increase the homestead exemption to 5% in the 2026 budget, 8% in 2027, and then 10% in 2028. That would bring us up to what Garland used to be. I also want to increase the over 65 exemption to be equal to the disability exemption, as is the case in 23 of the 31 cities in Dallas County. In our city, the over 65 exemption is $30,000 and the disability exemption is $50,000. We don't have state or local income taxes in Texas, so most city revenue comes from our property taxes. The total property tax burden, as I said before, consists of much more than just the city tax. The amount of the tax that a homeowner ultimately pays depends on the tax rate, which is set by the taxing entity, in this case the city, and the valuation, which is set by the county appraisal district. The valuation used to calculate the tax is reduced by the exemptions. So these three elements are what go into calculating how much your tax will actually be. The state mandates a general exemption that school districts have to grant. Local government exemptions are optional, and they're set by the city council in the case of city taxes. So assessed value minus exemptions equals the taxable value, and then the taxable value divided by 100 multiplied by the tax rate equals the annual tax bill. It's not nearly as complicated as it sounds when you say it. The total tax bill for a home in Rowlett, in the Dallas County portion of Rowlett, that's valued at $250,000 with the optional homestead exemption and no other exemptions, would be a little bit over $4,300 a year, according to the Dallas Central Appraisal District's calculator on their website. With the median listing price in Rowlett at $415,000 and many homes in our cities valued above $500,000, we have a lot of homeowners who are paying some pretty big property tax bills. The city portion of that is the only part of the tax burden that the council can control. So I want to do what we can to reduce that burden on our residents. That would include both reducing the rate and increasing the exemptions. One or the other would reduce your bill. Doing both would reduce your bill more. My preference in an ideal world, which we don't live in, would be to never exceed the no new revenue rate. But realistically, we have some serious needs that require funding. We have public safety functions that have to be adequately staffed and equipped. We have streets and roads that are falling apart that need to be fixed, and sidewalks and alleys. So I'm not going to sugarcoat the facts. According to the numbers in DCAD's tables comparing 2024 actual and 2025 estimated tax rates and exemptions, there's only one Dallas County city that has a higher tax rate than Rowlett. That's Ball Springs. When it comes to exemptions, we fare a little bit better. The optional homestead exemptions in Dallas County range from 0% to 20%. Remember, the homestead exemption is optional, so it can be zero. Some cities don't do it at all. Ours, we do have one, but it's only 1%. The over 65 and disability exemptions range all over the place, but in most cities, they are equal to one another. In our city, they're not. Now, when you talk about taxes, everybody knows it takes money to provide the necessities and the amenities that our residents want and need. And I get that. It also takes investment in infrastructure, beautification, and public safety to attract the businesses that could actually generate alternate revenue sources to shift the tax burden off of the residents. I get that too. So realistically, we may never be able to operate on a tax rate in the 0.20 to 0.30 cents, like most of the cities in our neighboring Rockwall County do. And we certainly could not achieve that by the end of the next mayoral term in 2028. But we can do better than what we're doing now. The first step toward that is going to be the willingness of the council to make some hard decisions at budget time. And I know politically, psychologically, that's not an easy thing to do. But unless and until we're able to bring in more economic development that will provide us with substantial additional sources of revenue, and Sapphire Bay, I'm looking at you here, lowering taxes is going to require that we either cut some programs, cut out some wastage, reduce what we spend on things, or find ways to lower costs by cutting out some of the middlemen, something that we've begun doing already by bringing some of our concrete and asphalt work in-house instead of contracting it out. I believe that innovative solutions like that, bringing more efficiency to the processes that are necessary, that we have to do, can be one step in lowering those tax rates.